What is going on, FA Nation? John Pemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook Live Show. It is Monday. We have an 8-game main slate here on DraftKings that we're going to be breaking down for you. We're going position by position per usual. For those of you who are maybe new to the program, we break it down each position, build a lineup at the end of the show. It's kind of an interesting slate here, Grande. There's some matchups where I feel like this morning we were like, oh, for sure, this is where we're going to want to go. You know, these are the matchups we want to target. And then you look at some of the ownership for today, and it's, you know, it doesn't exactly jive. A little bit. You were dead on with one particular matchup that everybody's seemingly going to go to today. But the lineup that we built on the preview show, everybody's under 5%. So if you're going to follow our preview show lineup, that may be the one for in your tournaments. Otherwise, the one that Grande mentioned, and we'll go over it here, a certain individual on the mound for a certain team in New York. Heavy ownership against that man today. So we will go and take a look at it. We do appreciate you guys all tuning in with us here today. Justin in the chat, Pod in the chat as well. If you guys have any comments, throw them in there. We'll bring them up on the screen. We'll help you guys set your lineups. If you got any prop questions, betting questions, throw those in there. And we'll be more than happy to answer those for you as well.
Do you read that as pod? I usually go po.
It's just the first three letters. I don't know what it is.
Pod. I go po because he's calling himself a degenerate stoner, which definitely coincides with. Which made me laugh because thinking about his name, he started with talking about blunts and bunts, and then he immediately put a bet in the chat. So like, the name couldn't fit the suitor better here.
I agree.
Starts with weed, ends with bets, and you put them together, and you have a po. Maybe he likes po' boys. You know, maybe he's a big sandwich guy too. He's a stoner, so he probably eats a lot. So the name feels like it matches perfectly with our brother in here that supports the show literally every morning,
every day, which we obviously absolutely love here. You know, comments in the preview show, excuse me, pops in on the live stream, and you guys do too. Listen, we love all the interactions that you guys have for us here each and every day on both shows. We appreciate the support. Like we always say, you guys want to support us even more, just hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Completely free to do here. And, you know, we're here every day for you guys to get you set up. One of our subscribers who watches the show every day, let us know. On Friday, he won the DraftKings late slate for $20,000. Wish that was me. Happy it was him, though. Playing the Mets stack that we were so high on. Listen, I won some money that night playing the Mets as well. I think there's no more sure thing than Pete Alonso homering on Friday. He was a cover of the preview show, and he had himself a big day there. So, guys, again, we appreciate you all tuning in. I also do want to do a quick promo. We did just sign up with Parlay Play over at Fantasy Alarm. You get a free $5 deposit. No deposit needed when you sign up. That's fantasyalarm.com/parlayplay. Promo code ALARM. It will autofill when you sign up there, or you can scan that QR code right there. They give you a 100% deposit match, but you don't have to do anything to get the free $5. You just sign up with that promo code ALARM or scan the QR code right there, and they give you $5 free for an entry today, and they're boosting Paul Skeens' strikeout prop today. They got it boosted at 5.5. That should be pretty easy for him against the Nationals. So go take advantage of that. Again, fantasyalarm.com/parlayplay. Free $5 when you sign up, when you use that promo code ALARM. So go check them out today. We've got a QR code scan already. Appreciate that, guys. Signing up over there. All right, let's get DraftKings started. Up at the top, Tarek Skubal. Matchup against the Milwaukee Brewers is 10-5. Dylan Cease, 98. Dustin May is 93, and Joe Ryan is $9,000. When we did in the preview show this morning, I initially said everybody's just going to go click Dustin May's name. I thought he would be the highest rostered pitcher of the slate. I didn't think it'd be really close to that either, and I was wrong. As of now, he is the SP5 in ownership. Him and Tanner Houck kind of flipping around. He was SP9 earlier in the day. We did get some shuffling there, but Are you surprised that you might be getting in a little bit of leverage with Dustin May as a massive favorite today against the Colorado Rockies?
I may be a little surprised, but it's not too much. Um, I, I think I wonder like what the temperature on Dustin May has been because he's spent his whole career not pitching,
Yeah.
right? His whole career has been spent injured. And when he has pitched, he's been, I mean, his stuff starts on one side of the continent and runs to the other side. Like everything moves insane amounts, but like it's been hard to get a read on him because you never know when the next injury is going to come. But everything has looked good. The progression from 81 to 86 pitches is good. The depth in game 5 to 6 innings is really great. The ground ball outs has been great. The strikeouts weren't against Washington, which is not the best because Washington has struck out a lot to start here, and he wasn't able to punch them out. But this is another matchup where you look at, you're like, all right, let's see if what kind of pitcher you are in terms of strikeouts, because nobody strikes out more than Colorado against pitching, 30% K rate. So it's an elite spot. I'd assume, and this is just me assuming and not what Dave Roberts might actually do, because Dave Roberts, we know, has a quicker hook than most managers, especially now. Their bullpen's better than it's ever been. So like they could just go to the bullpen earlier in these games. But the Rockies aren't better than 25th in any statistical category against right-handed pitching. They're 25th or worse. That includes like walk rate. Like they can't even walk. They don't even walk. So everything points to Dustin May being as good as advertised. But like where the ownership discrepancy comes in, I guess, like, you know, when you think about it just from a DraftKings perspective, that is specifically on DraftKings, you will not see many winning lineups not include the highest strikeout pitchers of the slate, right? Sure. Like it very rarely. So to see Tarek Skubal and to see Dylan Cease, number 1 and number 2, to see Sonny Gray and the strikeout rate that Houston's had this year, none of that is surprising because just simply put, strikeouts are king on DraftKings. So like where I think that there is leverage going to Dustin May, that is definitely why those other 3 pitchers are higher owned than him on DraftKings specifically.
And we saw that on Sunday, right? Garrett Crochet and Hunter Green, if you put them in your lineups, you had 35 plus fantasy points from both of those guys, right? Like absolute dominant performances anyways. Obviously, Crochet nearly had a perfect game. Hunter Green went, another 7 shutout innings, but both of them had 10 plus strikeouts. They both got you to the 30 plus fantasy points. Dustin May, obviously, in that first start against Atlanta, short outing, 5 innings, didn't give up an earned run, had the 6 strikeouts, got you the 21 fantasy points without the win. You add the win in there, he's like 25, 26. Maybe he pitches a little bit deeper. There's definitely the ceiling because they're minus 360 on the money line today. So, like, unless a disaster happens, like, you're chalking in the win points, right? And then it's like everything else just kind of stacks up to that. I will say one concerning number on Dustin May for me is the fastball velo. Now he missed all last year, obviously with the arm injury there. 2023, his fastball is 96.9. 2022 is 97.1. This year's fastball velo is sitting at 94.6. Now, early season starts, maybe he is getting warmed up. I don't know, but that's a pretty significant drop in velocity in your fastball. Now, his fastball run value, according to StatCast, is still really good, but can't be losing 4 miles an hour off your fastball either. It could be a little bit something to pay attention to there.
I agree, but it is a situation where this guy has as much run on his pitches as any other pitcher in base. Like that's predating the injury and post injury. Like it just moves. Like there's some pitchers where you're like wiffle ball.
Yeah, right.
Like that. I remember the first time I ever saw Chris Sale, I was like, that's a wiffle ball. That shouldn't be a baseball pitcher. And I feel the same way about Dustin May. Unfortunately, we just haven't seen it because he's never healthy.
His breaking ball run value is in the 93rd percentile on Baseball Savant. So
dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. I agree on the velocity, but if you're getting movement and maybe it's like the the Jacob DeGrom thing, right? Jacob DeGrom's like, I'm just going to be out here like throwing. Like, I'm not going to be throwing 100 every pitch. I'm just throwing. I'm better. I'm still better than, I'm going to beat a lot of guys. I'm just going to stay healthy. And that's how I feel like Dustin May. But I completely understand why someone would look at this and be like, I want to play Tarek Skubal because he's the best pitcher in baseball, or I want to play Dylan Cease because although like he got absolutely shellacked, torched, blown up, and was ruined after one inning against the Athletics.
Yeah,
that was where the game was. Obviously, plays a factor there because that ballpark has obviously played really offensive.
Yeah,
and he has as much strikeout upside as anyone else on the slate. So like, I get it. If you don't feel comfortable with Dustin May and the inconsistencies in terms of strikeouts so far, you playing the other two above him.
To your point, right? Tyler Skubal, his strikeout prop tonight at 6.5. It's minus 155 in the over. Over on DraftKings Sportsbook, Dylan Cease 6.5, minus 110 on the over. So kind of an even line there. Sonny Gray is it's a 5.5, but it's minus 145 on the over against Houston. Dustin May 5.5, minus 150 on the under.
Yeah.
5.5 strikeouts for Dustin May here today. So
nobody knows what version of Dustin May, because he looked amazing striking out a team that has struck out a lot. And then he didn't strike a team out that's striking out a lot. So like, will the real Dustin May please stand up? Right. That's
weird.
But I'm with you on the side of testing those waters, especially when you're talking DFS and we're talking ownership.
Yeah. On FanDuel, he's only I think he's 8,600 too, like very cheap price tag over on FanDuel, so you can get him in there because again, he's probably locked in for the quality start in the win over there, right? So those bonus points are huge. I mentioned Skubal and Cease; those are your top two owned guys. Sonny Gray's up over 20% as well. Framber Valdez is up there in ownership today. This is a guy that you kind of highlighted. He was supposedly not 100% going into that Seattle matchup. Then goes classic Framber Valdez, 6 innings shutout, 8 strikeouts. Quality start machine. Framber is here. Better pitcher's park in St. Louis. What are your thoughts for Framber at 8,800?
This is a tough read for me because St. Louis profile is really good against left-handed pitching. 5th in OPS, 5th in WOBA. They're 1st in walk rate. And we know Framber can struggle with command at times. I mean, he literally struggled with command. And then from that start to the next, he was deemed tired. This is the whole thing. I'm just so confused by like, was he just physically tired because he didn't sleep a lot the night before? Like, did we miss Framber?
He said he was dealing with an illness, so maybe he was just a little lethargic from the illness there.
No, so the DraftKings stuff says illness, but there was quotes that said he was sick and he was tired. There was fatigue. So like there was a combination of both of those things. He was sick, he was fatigued. But what is the fatigue? Is it a body fatigue? Is it an arm fatigue? Doesn't allow you to go through 6 scoreless. So I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming it's not arm fatigue, really, right? So it's tough because St. Louis has profiled pretty elite against left-handed pitching. Other than ISO, they're about league average. 23% strikeout rate favors Framber.
They got Lucan Baker hitting second.
But Lucan Baker hitting second, right? Yeah, I mean. But that's what they've done against lefties all year. Like that's been their lineup. You said it you kind of said it perfectly on the previous show last night when we were talking about it. You were like, I don't know why they rank so good against lefties because everyone's a lefty.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like
Newbar, Donovan, and Gorman are all in the lineup today. They're all left-handed. Again, Lucan Baker, take that for what you will. Pedro Paez there. Victor Scott's a switch hitter, I believe.
No, Victor Scott's a lefty.
Okay, a lefty then. Another lefty in their lineup. So, I mean, there's a lot of lefties, and then there's some questionable righties in their lineup. 10 years ago, you'd say, hey, they got Nolan Arenado at least. But, I mean, like, again, I don't see where the success is coming from. Could just be an early season outlier.
Lucan Baker, 432 WOBA against lefties so far this year. You better take your words back.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see, though. Framber's obviously elite. He is getting some decent numbers on him. Earlier in the morning, Shane Baz was getting that kind of same group ownership has since dissipated. We talked about the Red Sox struggles. They nearly got swept by the Chicago White Sox. They got shut out, by like Martin Perez and guys like that of the likes over the weekend. We've talked how good Baz has been. Again, I got killed on opening day against Pittsburgh for him or his first start because I took the under because he didn't throw more than like 60 pitches during the spring. And this is Tampa Bay. They limit everybody. Right. 96 pitches out of the gate, 96 pitches in the second start. As we said on the previous show, talent has never been a problem with Shane Baz. There's been the injury issues. All of that is seemingly behind him. He pitched a full camp, coming out firing. Pittsburgh, LA, two easier matchups, but look good. But like I said, what has Boston really done right now to show that their offense is firing? The only thing that maybe would be working against him, you would say, hey, well, he's pitching in Tampa Bay. That ballpark seems like it could be a pretty good favorite hero park. He's pitched at home both his starts. He's looked great. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really have anything bad to say. Boston and Atlanta are like Spider-Man meme to me because their offense should be better than what they are.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my one concern. Obviously, like the pitching talent of Shane Baz is elite. So I think there is also something to be said and something we talked about on the previous show. Like the pitch count may not be limited because they are being careful with like the amount of days in between starts, 7 days, six days. Like he is getting extra rest. It's like, I think it's the KBO or it's where they pitch every sixth day. Yeah. Like that's a really good way to like keep pitchers healthier, right? Like instead of,
oh, you're gonna get old baseball mad at you. No,
I don't care.
They lost the DH. The pitchers don't hit anymore. Now you want to go 6-man rotations.
Not six-man rotations, but like for a guy who's another add to the list of like pitchers who have super high ceilings that haven't been able to stay healthy. Those pitchers, old baseball can shove it. If those pitchers stay healthy because that recipe works, then what can old baseball say? If Shane Baz goes out and makes 29 starts this year, is it old baseball going to come back to me and say, maybe he made it the whole year. He should have had 32. Well, what if we pushed him every fifth day and now suddenly Shane Baz only makes 20 starts and now we don't see him for another 2 years? Yeah. So I like the obviously the pitch count and the strikeout upside is elite. There's obviously going to be a day of reckoning for any pitcher when Boston's offense decides to wake up and hit a lot of home runs like they can. They have two of like the top 10 best hitters in the American League hitting 1 and 2 in their order. So like when those two players are those two players again, it's going to be scary, but no signs of that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll see what happens with Baz there. Obviously, you mentioned Sonny Gray. Again, we know the strikeout upside for him. We also know that he is prone to giving up home runs. Houston offense woke up a little bit against the Angels this past weekend. We'll see what happens there in this spot. If you want to chase the Gray in the mid-tier, I think you certainly can. Is there any value on this slate that you're looking at? Any pitching value that you like?
Hilarious you said chase the Gray in the mid-tier because that's also the color of Shane Baz's beard. So you could go either of them there. So that was a nice play on words without even knowing it. I don't really like the rest of the 8K tier. I gave you my little concern with Easton Lucas. I probably should like him more when you look at the Braves numbers against lefties this year. 25th in OPS, 21st in ISO, 25th in WOBA, 26% strikeout rate when you round up, and they're 20th in walk rate. There's not a lot to like. They're also super popular for a team that's like really bad right now, right? Easton Lucas, you know what Easton Lucas isolated power allowed against lefties is this year, John?
What?
0. Do you know what it is against righties?
What is it?
0. He is not allowed. And like the expected ISO, 0.31 against lefties. The expected ISO, 0.59 against righties. Really good numbers, like really good. And I kind of like pushed back on your call out this morning about Easton Lucas. And I should like him more than I do. And I am acknowledging that. I'm acknowledging my flaws in today's process.
I mean, listen, he's had 2 starts. They obviously have been great. He's only gone 5 and 5 and a third innings, 74 and 82 pitches. So, not great because, unless they go up big, which they have, at least fortunately, he's gotten the win in both of those starts. The one thing I pointed out to you was just the run value, right? I mean, he's got 98 percentile fastball run value. He doesn't throw it hard, but if it's moving, they have a hard time just making good contact on it, which they're obviously not doing. Washington 1 hit, Boston 3 hits. It was really cold in that Boston game. Again, it was in Boston, it was like 35 degrees. Now they're inside against Atlanta. Maybe things change. So Atlanta is an offense that is getting a lot of love today in terms of ownership too.
So much.
So people are kind of on your board too. They're like, this Easton Lucas, this ain't gonna last. Let's go get our Boston guy, our Atlanta guys in the lineup there today. But I someone in the chat threw in there that there's no Marcell Ozuna in the lineup today.
Yeah, he got pinch hit for. I was shocked by Stuart Fairchild.
Yeah.
On Sunday, and I said to myself, no sane person, unless they're on like hallucinogens, would pinch hit Stuart Fairchild for like a third grader, let alone Marcell Ozuna, who hit 40 home runs last year. So
I'm assuming there's something going on there, right?
Right.
But that helps Easton Lucas not having to deal with Marcell Ozuna in the middle of that lineup today. So again, dart throw play. If you do pitch him, again, everybody's playing Atlanta. So if you pitch him and he shuts them down, good on the field for you in that spot.
Yep.
What about the rest of this? I mean, again, there's Clay Holmes, there's Tanner Houck, there's Tyler Alexander, Tyon, Holmes, Carrasco, Senzatella. We're certainly not pitching the last 2 guys. Houck looked better in his last start. Tampa Bay, as much as we like to talk up this ballpark, and you and I do like to play a lot of Tampa Bay, they haven't always come through. Now, Houck has a little bit of a problem on his hands. Early season results and returns against left-handed hitters are pretty bad.
Yes.
There are a few lefties in this lineup we certainly like for Tampa Bay today, but do you have any interest in a Holmes, a Houck, or Alexander?
Yeah, I do like Clay Holmes specifically. Now, I wasn't necessarily a believer as a starter, but the numbers do look pretty good for Clay Holmes so far. And it's a good matchup. Twins are 20th in OPS, they're 20th in ISO, they're 20th in WOBA. Just straight less than average offense against right-handed pitching. They don't strike out a ton, but they don't walk either. So everything is just mediocre contact. And Clay Holmes is just straight limited any sort of damage. 0 ISO against lefties, 0.72 expected ISO, 0.34 ISO against righties, 151 expected ISO, so a little better. But that's the guy, that we've expected, like no power because he keeps everything on the ground. Now, he's had a home run problem in, a lot of the second half last year for the Yankees. That's why he led the league in blown saves and lost his job. But he's looked different. There's a new pitch in the mix, and it's been effective to lefties, and lefties can't touch him. So yeah, I don't mind Clay Holmes. We just saw the strikeout upside that he had last time out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of love for like Lugo, although there's strikeout equity attached to it. Very scary matchup, but there's strikeouts definitely attached to it. Houck, if he can navigate the lefties, there's obviously a ceiling, but he's just been so mediocre for quite a while that it's just not my favorite.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would mention here is Grant Holmes. But I do think that there's some underlying stuff for Grant Holmes that look a little scary, and underlying stuff for Toronto that's going to turn things around. Mainly Vladdy. Vladdy's underlying numbers look incredible, and like all the power stuff is going to turn around for him. But as a team, Toronto, 22nd in OPS, 30th in ISO, dead last, under 100 OPS or ISO, 22nd in WOBA, 24th in walk rate, 18% strikeout rate is not great for Holmes, but he is a guy who misses bats. Lefties have had a big problem with Holmes, and righties haven't had a lot of success, but a lot of like, if he can get lucky here, I expect him to have a good start. I just don't know if like whose luck runs good or bad here, because I think the Blue Jays have been a little unlucky, and I think Holmes has been a little lucky.
On the money line, this is a pretty fair. Like Toronto uncovers -102, Atlanta -106 in the money line, so just dead even on who's going to win this game or not. The numbers for Grant Holmes are fine. There's nothing great. Last year he projected a little bit better, but if they seemingly the field is pretty heavy against Easton Lucas, so you'd think at $6,500, if that's the case, if everybody's stacking Atlanta offense, that's going to put Grant Holmes in a spot to get a win. We saw what he did against Philly. He didn't even get a win in that game. 4 innings, 0 earned, 6 strikeouts was enough for 16 fantasy points. You get that at $6,500 again, you're ahead of the game.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
All right. Anything else here?
Tyler Alexander's getting a bunch of ownership. What do you make of that?
Well, we talked about this on the preview show. The numbers you said for Detroit,
pretty bad.
Against lefties. A lot of their good hitters are from the left side of the plate, as we've talked about. Obviously, Torkelson is coming around, but Riley Green's a lefty. Kerry Carpenter's a lefty. Cole Keith not having a great season, but he's from the left side as well. So they're going to have to kind of figure out, I guess, and navigate that. I like that they're home, in a controlled environment there. Again, I don't think I get here, but I understand it.
Yeah. They also I know that Glaber makes that big of a difference, but Glaber's back hitting second in their lineup, so he could be a nice addition to their lineup. I'm okay with it. I'd play
like a one-off Torque, and I guess if you were to two-man it, you do Torque and Gleiber, and that'd probably be if I was to play against Alexander today.
If you were playing against Alexander, yeah, that's your 2-4. I think they're hitting Ibanez third tonight, which I find hilarious, but yeah, I think that would be the way I'd go to.
Yep, agreed with you. Is Carrasco still the pitcher for the Yankees today, as far as I know?
He is. All lineups are out. He is.
And then is it suicide to stack against New York today? No. Stack against, like we're Kansas City?
No, yeah, that's not.
They are Kansas City. We'll get into their offense right now. They're the highest stack today. The highest rostered stack is Kansas City, which Grande was talking all about on the previous show, and Atlanta. Those are the 2 highest rostered stacks for today. Which again, we built the preview show. I gave you the top 4 Dodgers. They're all under 10% today.
And Witt, by the way, and Bobby Witt was in that lineup too.
Yeah, so I don't understand why they're so cheap. But looking at catcher, Salvi Perez, $4,400. What is it about Kansas City, and what isn't it about Carlos Carrasco that's making Kansas City so popular today, Grande?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the show. So beginning of this year has not gone too well for Carlos Carrasco, and it was kind of like the same thing last year as well. His numbers against righties, which is why Salvi is getting ownership, and why I think Salvi looks amazing, why I think Bobby Witt looks amazing, why India looks great, because 3 of the top 4 are hitting righties or righty hitters. Righties against Carrasco this year, obviously it's like a minuscule sample. It's like 70 pitches. So that's against 1 split, right? But 500 ISO, 554 WOBA. Those are you're not pitching in Major League Baseball. You might not be able to pitch in minor league baseball numbers.
Sure.
So you couple that with, pretty good right-handed bats, specifically Salvi, specifically Bobby Witt, hitting, again, 2 of the top 4 hitters in their lineup. They look great. You could play Salvi at first base if you didn't want to, spend all the way catcher, if you're a punt catcher kind of guy or gal. But yeah, he looks elite. I have nothing bad to say. I know Kansas City's offense has been pretty dreadful. I mean, they
Yep.
rank basically in the bottom 3 of every offensive category against right-handed pitching,
Yeah.
right? It's
099
like,
ISO was the one that stuck out to me.
yeah, it's absolute garbage. They are obviously a better team than this, and it partly has to do with like even like Witt and Salvi are not hitting home runs. Pasquantino has 2 home runs. Like nobody's hitting home runs. These are all guys that you think are going to have 30 plus by year's end. So you put him in a good environment, pitching environment, and it gets a guy who's just not getting people out. It's I get they're chalky, and I get it's like that's definitely something in baseball that you have to be like. It's easier to fade, right, than like fading a basketball chalk or fading football chalk. Like I think baseball chalk is probably the easiest thing to fade because the success rate is so low.
So low, yeah.
But it is a great spot against a 38-year-old pitcher that just would not have been on this in this rotation if injuries hadn't happened to the Yankees.
Yeah, I think I texted you over the weekend. I played a Met stack on Saturday, and Soto Alonso combined for 2 points. It's
Right.
like $11,000 in
Right.
salary. You know?
Right. I mean, like, and Pete Alonso's like been one of the best players in
Yeah.
baseball, and yet which is just the volatility, right?
Yeah.
So I love Salvi and I love the Royals, and you're not going to hear me say much bad about them, but like they are very rarely do you see the team with 4.5 implied runs way higher owned than every other team on the board.
Yeah.
They're like the 5th highest implied total, and yet they're significantly higher owned than everyone
Everybody
else.
just stacking against Carrasco today.
Yep.
Again, if you're not in Lucas, Murphy's in the Braves are the other high off. Obviously, offense is starting to come around. Murphy came back, homered 3 times in those 5 games. He's hitting cleanup tonight without Ozuna in the lineup. We've talked Dingler, how well he has hit for them. He gets the righty-lefty matchup. Yadier Diaz started to pick up, obviously, in that one game, homered 5 RBIs. We know Sonny Gray has some home run problems there. So, some guys in the mid-range, not a lot of like value that we typically look to find. They pumped Amaya up to 3K. I would still play Amaya, assuming that there isn't Kelly because he left with the injury there. Where are you? Is there any value catching that you're looking at today?
Dingler, Diaz, and I would just punt with whoever else is like. I'm okay punting Christian Vasquez if not using Clay Holmes.
Okay,
I would probably punt
Martin. Has actually been kind of okay.
Yeah, Torrens has been good. I would punt Martin Maldonado. I know this is not the right split. I was trying to save my Padres stuff until we got to third to crap on Taillon, how bad he's been against right-handed bats. So we'll get there in a few, but he has been very bad against righties specifically. This is the first time Martin Maldonado has looked good offensively in like 3 years.
Yeah.
At least as a collective. I know your death taxes Martin Maldonado against lefties, but
I mean, those are just the numbers, right? He has like a 200 ISO.
Yeah, it's been good. No, he's been good against lefties. So I would punt like any of those.
Okay. First base. He's looking to
Anthony Coors. They're not in Coors. They're in LA tonight.
Yep. Not in Coors. Ohtani, obviously, against Senzatella. If you wanted to go there, you can. Alonso versus Ryan. Vladdy versus Holmes. Freeman, $4,900. Can go either of those spots. Michael Busch has been on a tear lately. He's $4,700. Yeah, one of those homers came off of Miguel Rojas impersonating Roki Sasaki. I don't know if you saw those highlights. That was great. The announcer was also great. Second time the Busch homered off Sasaki that evening. Made me chuckle. So you go in that mid-range. We kind of talked about it on the preview show, though. Yes, you can go the Royals. I really just like this range of Aranda, Rice, Torkelson. I think any one of those 3, 39, 38, 37, just fit builds pretty easily for me.
Yeah, that's also your 3 favorite players' StatCast pages. So,
also true. Also true.
They also happen to be priced.
Forgive me for liking guys at 100 percentile everything. My bad. Apologies.
Doesn't Jordan Walker have 100% bat speed?
He does. That's it, though.
Yeah.
He swings as hard as he can. Can't hit it.
Yeah.
You guys ever punt first base? I mean, we are kind of in the mid-range.
Depends on the day.
How punty are we getting? Kevin Biggio, Luke and Baker, probably?
Yeah, I mean, look, today looks like a day where if Ohtani goes 4 for 4 with a home run and stolen base, you lose day because he's really popular. So if you need to spend up on Shohei at first, do it. Same thing with Freeman. I do think that this is a great spot for Vladdy because Grant Holmes has looked pretty lucky against righties specifically. 228 expected ISO allowed to righties. And dude, these Vladdy expected numbers are kind of insane. Like 100 points better should his slug be. 100 points is
Yeah.
he's hitting 302. His expected batting average this year is like 370. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's just looks really good, and yet like no home runs, no like barely any extra base hits to show for it, and it's going to come in waves. This is a spot I think Vladdy definitely could or potentially will homer in.
You know what's kind of funny is that I just ran a quick update, and we'll have these updated numbers on Fantasy Alarm too after the show. Toronto stack kind of starting to pop a little bit, but Vladdy's the 4th highest rostered Blue Jay. So you're getting a little bit of leverage because, like you said, Ohtani is right up there among highest rostered potential first baseman. He has the dual positional eligibility there. Salvi also with the dual positional eligibility with the first base ability there. And then Matt Olson and Vlad Guerrero kind of have the same ownership today, but rare. I think that you would look to stack Toronto 3 guys ahead of Vlad Guerrero.
Yep. It's true. It's so true. But it just shows you the depth of first base in general. I remember last year we were getting the Vladdy first third eligibility too to help out the cause there. But yeah, I mean, I think he probably looks better than Matt Olson. Ultimately, I think that there's a little more upside for Vladdy. I know Olson has hit a home run, but Vladdy's been making far more contact this year and is getting a pitcher who's been far more lucky than Easton Lucas suggests. And then I think Pasquantino and Salvi, as we talked about, will check in with some pretty high ownership. Yeah. But I agree on your ultimately, I do agree. I'm poking fun at the Aranda, Rice, Torkelson stuff. I think all 3 of them look great. Ben Rice against Lugo looks great with the short porch. Aranda against Houck. The Houck numbers.
Look how red the Torkelson numbers are.
No, right? You said it on the show last night. He's so back. But Aranda
is right there. 97, 96, 97, 9. Like the just insane StatCast pages for these guys. And yeah, I basically go to bed looking at these each and every night.
I have literally seen
Ben Rice.
I have literally seen this Ben Rice page more than my wife, over the last week. You just said every chat we're in together, or every show, it's have you seen Ben Rice? Yeah, John, every day since the season has started, we've seen Ben Rice.
I'm just saying.
I know. I'm agreeing with you. But I have seen a lot of times.
Those 3 guys are all under $4,000, and they're basically just all the way to the right on their StatCast.
Lefties against Tanner Houck this year, 333 ISO. It's only a 244 expected ISO, but I shouldn't say only because 244 ISO is still really good. Yeah. 502 WOBA, only a 422 expected WOBA against Tanner Houck for lefties. So Jonathan Aranda and his just monster frame can absolutely park one in the minor leagues.
And what is the one thing we usually talk about Tanner Houck when it comes to pitching, right?
Ground balls
and just movement, right? A lot of movement on his something. No, not this year. That's not what you want your page to look like.
No, that looks really terrible.
That's horrific. Last year, all-star.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was gonna say that page is built on his first half.
Right. Well, for sure, but dramatic differences.
Yeah, it's bad.
So again, if you're looking to go lefties against Houck today, certainly can. And then you mentioned, would you punt the position? Again, if you aren't on Framber, Luken Baker's hitting second at 2,400. If you aren't on Carlos Carrasco, Kevin Biggio is a lefty with some power.
We're back. That's the part of the program we're at. Kevin Biggio suggestion.
We're back. We're back to Kevin Biggio.
We're so back.
And that's probably where I'd go. I'm not going to go Boz. I'm not really going to play much else there.
No. No.
Is Scuba a must? Anthony asks. We think that he has the highest ceiling of any pitcher on the slate today.
That's typical answer because he's the best pitcher in baseball. So
reigning Cy Young, he's the most
Yeah.
expensive. It's Milwaukee. They have a lot of lefties in their lineup. So is it a must? He is the highest projected rostered starter today as well. So fading him at your own risk.
Lowest implied total, or second lowest implied total on the board for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second base.
They are hitting Isaac Collins second for what it's worth, John.
Who?
He is hitting second for Milwaukee today.
Yeah, who's that? What's that?
Isaac Collins.
Yeah, exactly. Scooble. So second base. Again, we kind of already hit on the Hauk thing. I do like Lau at $4,900. There's Altuve, who's been really good. Again, Sonny Gray. I don't want to spend $5,500 on Jazz Chisholm. I think I'm going to let other people hit that button if you want to. Tommy Edman, not the right split, but Senzatella has given up 27 hits in 3 starts. So probably anybody on LA is good to go.
Yeah.
They got Ozzie Albies leading off. Now, you highlighted the career numbers for Ozzie Albies against lefties. This year, hasn't been there, but he's off to a very slow start this year. He's obviously starting to come around. Homered in 2 games in Tampa Bay. Yes, that ballpark is a bit more conducive to offense, but Toronto is as well. They moved the fences in last year. Remember that. So, are we? The field is getting to Atlanta. Are we getting to Atlanta here with Ozzie Albies?
I don't know if you need to do the full Atlanta thing, but Albies would probably be my top Brave. I don't think that this is a good position to begin with, so I think he's too cheap because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is we're still taking historically versus a 17 plate appearance sample for Ozzie Albies, right? Every year it's 1,000 OPS, approaching 1,000 OPS, 200 ISO plus, every single year, right?
Never forget.
This guy is the best. This guy is the best. Blunts and bunts season, baby. I like Ozzie Albies against the lefties. If you're not playing Easton Lucas, I get it. I get why. Again, I get why the Braves are popular today. They're very affordable against the pitchers. That's that 20,
nobody knows.
That's 28 years old and has made 2 career starts, and they've come this year. So I get it. Albies is definitely my favorite Brave of the day.
Sure. Guyber's fine at 42 if you're not in on Tyler Alexander there. Massey hitting 5th against Carrasco.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of Kansas City guys are going to have ugly looking numbers to begin the year outside of Bobby Witt. Massey's one of them, but we do know there's some power here. So, I mean, if you are going lefty in Yankee Stadium against Carrasco, Massey hitting in the middle of that lineup, certainly a bit appealing. Edouard Julien, someone again, a little power leading off against Grant Holmes rather. At $30,000, and then we just plugged.
Brooks you were right. It is Clay. You were right the first time.
Wait, is it Clay Holmes?
Yes.
Clay Holmes. Yes. Okay, Clay Holmes at $3K, and then last night we just plugged Brooks Lee because he's $2,200. So
moving up tonight, John, hitting 8th.
Yeah,
they liked what they saw. They liked what they saw. One game.
I still feel kind of inclined to just click $2,200 Brooks Lee because I want to spend up for other players. So
yeah, and Julien's obviously going to be the more popular second baseman in this game.
Yes.
Just given Julien's going to lead off and hits for home runs, right?
Yeah. So Kyle Farmer's over 10% and Ibanez is over 10% as well. Any interest?
No. Doesn't surprise me on the Ibanez front because he has, again, another historically good lefty hitter.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I would probably rather just play Michael Massey, to your point. 188 ISO against right-handed pitching last year, and you put him in the ballpark that he's hitting in tonight. I think that would kind of be. I would leverage Massey over basically anyone higher owned than him than maybe Ozzie Albies.
Okay. Third base position. You mentioned you wanted to talk about Machado here at 5,600.
Yeah, I think it's just more so the Tyone against righty stuff. Obviously, Machado's been great, plus the fact that he's stealing bases and a righty's on the mound. So, you have the easier side to steal on.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Taillon, John, against righties this year. 500 ISO allowed, 417 expected ISO. So still just like dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
557 WOBA allowed, 474 expected WOBA. Two of like baseball's hottest hitters in the like across the league are hitting first and third in this order in Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. Like San Diego isn't like an elite ballpark to hit homers in. I think that's evidenced by like the Padres ranking top 3 in OPS and WOBA, but 22nd in ISO. Like they're hitting everything, but they're not hitting home runs. Tatis aside. So Tatis is hitting
Jackson Merrill when he's healthy.
Jackson Merrill is healthy. It's a really good spot for Machado or Tatis to go yarding. Like I feel really confident. We've talked about the Taillon fly ball rate over the last few years, and now he's not getting righties out, and two of their best two players hit from that side of the plate. Like it's a scary proposition with how good Machado and Tatis have been lately. I love Machado, and nobody is playing San Diego. I mean, I feel like that's a common thread because the park isn't great. But dude, it's the best team in baseball right now.
Yeah. Well, ownership's pretty high on like basically Austin Riley.
Yeah.
Right. Hitting second tonight, $4,600. You get your Albies Riley stack without having to spend $5,000 for each player.
Right.
And then it's kind of like getting a little punty there. Ernie Clement is 15% at $2,500. Nick Allen is 10%. He's up there. And then Jonathan India, who has the dual positional eligibility, leading off again against Carrasco getting ownership. So, no one's really going anywhere else. They're definitely not spending up for Machado, who's under 10%. Max Muncy, we know his contact issues, but Senzatella's doing nothing but giving up contact. He's 4,100. No one's really playing him either. So, good pivots if you're looking to just kind of avoid the chalk here today.
Yeah, I don't know. The Ernie Clement thing has to be recency bias. He was 4 for 5 yesterday, and like that's the only thing I can think of because that might be his only 4 hits of the year. I don't know if he has. I don't know.
We had like random spurts of playing him last year, but they were against lefty.
We did not random spurts. We played him for like a month straight because he was this price every day, and he was hitting like 300. We're like, click third base. I don't know. I like the Riley chalk. Another like hitting second has been better type scenario, and people don't believe in us in Easton Lucas, but like he does have some pretty good numbers.
Riley's really been like the only Ray that's been good fairly consistently this year. So
yeah, he's just striking out a ton.
Yeah.
He has like 1,000 strikeouts to start the year. I don't mind like the Michael and India plays because Carrasco's been so bad against righties.
Yeah.
Michael's been better. Maybe but like India fits your stacks probably a little better because he's leading off and you play Witt and then you play Salvi and now you have like 1, 2, and 4, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's good to have Garcia up to 6 now in their lineup. He was sitting a little lower earlier in the year. So
he was
getting closer to the middle. So
yeah, he's we're moving him up, baby. We're moving him up.
Moving on. Isaac Paredes, 3,700. Power finally coming through. He hits righties, and Sonny Gray gets up a lot of home runs. So a lot of things connecting here for Paredes.
Yeah, man. The numbers, and you said it's basically because this weekend.
Yes. Because
even with those weekend numbers, they look terrible as a whole against righties. I mean, they 24th in OPS, 29th in ISO, 24th in WOBA with a 23% strikeout rate. That's the team numbers for Houston. And then you look at Isaac Paredes and you're like, oh, he's homered in 3 straight games and he's dominated. So yeah, I mean, if you think that they're just coming around, then yeah, I like them. If you think that a 3-game sample is not great, then I'm also okay with not playing them.
Here's a little breaking news update. Marcell Ozuna traveling back to Atlanta for an MRI, will not play this weekend. Not play this series. So not good news if you got Marcell Ozuna or plan on playing Marcell Ozuna, because never want a guy traveling back to Atlanta for an MRI.
And you never want a 30-year-old with a hip injury.
Yeah.
That seems more older.
Less than ideal there.
Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of where I'm at with third. Was there anybody else you wanted to play here?
Jackson Malloy's leading off, has good history against lefties. That's the only other thing I'd add. All right, I did the Jackson game.
His name's not Jackson.
It's still not Jackson. Justin Henry. I did it twice.
You did. Yeah.
Whatever.
You can just email him, see if he can change his name. Help you out a little bit. Shortstop. Mookie Betts.
There's a Jack Malloy on the Yale basketball.
I just assume you keep wanting to call him like Austin Jackson because like Detroit center fielder. You know, I don't know, like Jackson.
He's a shortstop middle infielder for Davidson.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyways, Mookie is there at 62. Bobby Witt, $5,900. Ownership on Witt is obviously pretty decent today. Him and Mookie, the top two guys, and then everybody's just spending down from there. Any interest in anybody else than Mookie or Bobby at shortstop today? Because we do often say, basically spending down at shortstop, you're just giving away win equity almost.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like there's too much talent at this top end of this position here.
I think there's a reason why those two are significantly higher owned than the rest of the field. One of them has like a almost 6 implied team total, Mookie Betts. One of them has arguably the other worst pitcher on the board for Bobby Witt. So I do feel like you're losing something. I'm good with Bichette. I'm good. I'm actually pretty good with Xander Bogaerts considering the tie-on stuff, but I don't have a lot of interest elsewhere. I think this is a position you spend up on for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Again, there's not even really great value. Like, again, Allen's getting some love just because he's in Atlanta. You can play Brooks Lee here if you want, but yeah, just spend up Mookie or Bobby and kind of fill your lineup.
Nick Allen can steal a base. That's why people are playing him, just because he can run. But like, you know,
he had 3 hits in Tampa Bay. Like, hey, you know,
yeah.
Cool. All right, outfield again. Otani's your highest rostered player overall today in offense. Aaron Judge always in play in Yankee Stadium, of course. Kyle Tucker versus Cease. I have seen nothing not to play Kyle Tucker in this spot. You know, Tucker's ownership today, people like Dylan Cease. He's 2%. Can Kyle Tucker do damage against Dylan Cease today?
Of course. Lefties against Dylan Cease this year, 211 expected ISO. Yeah. Not saying I'm not. If you're like asking me, am I playing him over Ohtani? No, in like a single entry. But if you ask me that in like large field, I would mix in Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, you got a Michael Busch, Kyle Tucker, little stack going there. You know,
yep.
You can make that work today. Tatis, you mentioned righties against Taillon, power upside there. Ooh. Sonny Gray, Jordan, 57, power there. Good at all of that. I like Teoscar at 5K. Again, I like the Dodgers a lot. You know, building some lineups around them, especially if Royals and Braves are your top 2 stacks.
Yep.
You're going to give me the Dodgers at home against Sensatella as like the 3rd sack today. Like,
yeah. The only spot that they're not chalky is the outfield. Or not like they're super
they
chalky.
Don't have good outfielders, right? Like,
yeah. No, they are chalky in the outfield. Ohtani, Teoscar, Pages.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about the other spots.
Yeah.
Like the Royals, terrible outfield, and the Braves don't have a good outfield.
Sure, that's fair. So, yes, that is true.
So Teoscar there at 5K, I'm a big fan of. We had a comment on Santander potentially getting some things going. Again, cheap Blue Jays. Starting to wake up a little bit against Grant Holmes. You can certainly run that one out there. I like Happ from the left side against Cease at 45. Where else are you potentially looking at here?
Conforto, $4,400 looks great. Slowed down after like a really good start, primarily because he's striking out too much. But Michael Conforto hitting in the middle of their lineup, a lot of power. I'm good going to something like a Jason Dominguez, who has power speed combination against Seth Lugo in a small ballpark, can play India out here. PCA coming off, obviously, like the double Don game that he'll
never do again.
I mean, very unlikely. Misner hitting 6th.
Yeah.
is another guy who just has 1,000 OPS to start the year, can steal, hits for a little power. So those would probably be like the spots in that range for me.
Yep. Value, you can go the Royals outfield if you want. Drew Waters has a little pop, has some solo base potential. Going to hit from the left side in Yankee Stadium. Kyle Isabel has some power. Going to hit from the left side in Yankee Stadium at 27. You're just stacking against Cookie Carrasco. Ryan De La Cruz actually has some decent power against lefties as well. Up to 5th. Hasn't shown anything, but I mean, dude, if Ozuna's out, like they might just DH De La Cruz like as their primary DH for the time being here, right? So
yeah,
potential for that in that spot there. Any of these other like value guys? Cam Smith 24 maybe.
Yeah, I'm a big Cam Smith talent guy. Just like monster power, monsters like really fast. So I'm good going there. I'm also good going like to Pages. I know Pages is getting a lot of ownership, and I also know he's historically just been good against lefties, but we never have to worry about Pages getting like pinch hit for or anything because he is their center fielder and he's their best defensive outfielder too. So like Pages for cheap, you can punt like any of this other like you can punt Isbell, you can punt
I said Cam Smith. I think
Waters. No. I'm saying like Waters or
okay.
Isbell.
Yeah.
But like and Fairchild's getting a fair amount of ownership for.
I mean, this was his spot when he was with Cincinnati, right? He was in the lineup against lefties. He's gonna get playing time here, so
yeah.
Because if they shift De La Cruz to their DH, they're gonna have Fairchild be in the outfield for them. So
yeah, I mean,
Acuna comes back. I wonder if this rushes Acuna back if Ozuna misses time.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, you're gonna have to spend down somewhere, especially if like depending on the route that you take. Like catchers usually a punt spot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're spending up for like a Salvi or a Will Smith or in that range, it's gonna be
Let's get our lineup build. I'm assuming we want Scooble like May. Do we go? Scooble May gives us 37.
We're not. If you want Dodgers, we're not playing. We can't play Tarek Scooble.
Well,
or we can't play Dustin May. One of
Lee, if we do like Lee and Cam Smith
or Stuart Fairchild.
I mean, Smith feels like he has
Smith
more
has yeah,
no. infinite more upside, right?
One of them was traded for Kyle Tucker. One of them was not.
I mean, listen, yeah, I said it right. Like, that's so that's $4,200. Yeah, he's saying Heineman against Holmes. Considered it. It's been good.
Yeah.
4,500. I mean, now we're kind of in our wheelhouse spot here. You want to go Ohtani and Witt, maybe? Let's see, Ohtani, Witt.
I would like Bobby. I lean Bobby over Mookie. It's a splitting hairs at shortstop, but I mean, Dodgers lineup just dropped. No Teoscar Hernandez tonight.
Wow, no Teoscar today. Okay.
Will Smith hitting 4th. Conforto hitting 5th is. I mean, that's a really. I mean, it doesn't even without Teoscar, that lineup is just crazy.
This is Pajes. You said was on 35. See, we're kind of. We need a punt third baseman. Do you run the 5th inning Ernie or Jackson Malloy at $2,500 for you?
Still not Jackson, but
Justin Henry Malloy for you.
John Henry.
John Henry Malloy. JH Malloy. Let's call him JH Malloy moving forward.
JH Malloy.
Okay. Or Ibanez against Alexander.
I hate it all. Pajes is in the best environment of it all. Wrong Pajes.
Other Pajes.
You tried to click Pedro.
Other Pajes. All right.
Get a Ronda in there. We're gonna play Torque.
Could do Torque and we're Ibanez.
Yeah, it's fine.
$700 left over.
Yeah,
I'm good going Ronda. You know that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Lee has shortstop eligibility. That's kind of the killer there.
This is the I think the problem with the double spend and why more people are going away from Dustin May because more people just trust Scooble more.
Yeah. Oh, we went off
And
of May and went down to
yeah, but you don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, he's a minus 360 favorite.
I'm not saying I like Dustin May. I'm also like, obviously, I don't want to fade Tarek Skubal, but
Go to, I didn't click the same button twice. Go to Bobby Witt here, third base. Paredes. We can one off Paredes. How about this? We'll do a couple one offs. We'll get Whale, Otani, and Paez. There's not a ton of line of correlation, but there's a Smith, Paredes, Houston exposure. One off Aranda. I mean, can we make this any better? I mean, I like Aranda, obviously, but is there
more correlation?
More correlation? Not really. Not really any more correlation. Let's stick with Aranda there. All right, Skubal, May, Heineman, Aranda, Lee, Paredes, Witt, Smith, Otani, Paez. Assuming you want Otani, he's the highest roster player on the slate. You can knock him down to somebody if you wanted to, but
we could stick with Shohei.
All right, here we go. Example lineup for everybody: Skubal, May, Heineman, Aranda, Lee, Paredes, Witt, Smith, Otani, Paez. Playbook is out. Core plays will be updated. Ownership will be updated here after the show. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll have the preview show tonight for Tuesday. Till then, everybody, we'll catch you later.